So I'm going to tell you about the story about the caterpillar and the butterfly. Everyone's heard about a caterpillar. Small, insignificant creature, goes along. Goal is to be unnoticed, hopefully finds a warm corner, builds a cocoon, and if Mother Nature nurtures that cocoon enough, it's going to be a beautiful butterfly. For most of my high school life, I was that caterpillar, and I never thought I would become a butterfly. Mother Nature, for me, came in the form of a 4'9" Asian woman who pulled no punches, and she ruled her classroom with an iron fist. She told you like it was. With her guidance, I would finally take my first step forward. But in order for you to understand how far I've come, you need to know who I was in high school first. Picture your senior year in high school, best year of your life. Teachers are there to build you up and help you succeed. A place where you're judged on character and merit, and not on the opinions of others. Unfortunately, that was not my start of my senior year. 5 months before my senior year, I suffered a head injury, a traumatic one. I suffered memory loss and severe migraines. On top of that, I had academic struggles and disciplinary that followed all through my high school years, and it even resulted in me switching high schools my sophomore year. So to say that my ideal start of the year, it wasn't ideal. In school, I never had a teacher who took the time to get to know me, or help me with my academic challenges, or even find out where my anger was coming from. I was only ever judged. Instead of positive affirmations and praises, I was called a loser, a failure, a waste of space, delinquent, idiot, stupid. All judged by teachers who never listened to my side of the story. These labels were given to me not by fellow students, but by the teachers in my life who were supposed to build me up for success. One teacher even suggested that my best option was to drop out of high school, because all I would ever do was flip burgers. I heard these words so often, I started to believe them myself. By my senior year, I fell into the deepest depression that finally crumbled the little self-confidence I had left. These labels convinced me that I was worthless and a failure. I decided to give up and quit high school. I just needed permission and a signature from my homeroom teacher, Miss Eads. That meeting would change my life. Miss Eads would change my life. From that moment, she looked past the angry teenager and the hateful words I spewed at her, and she saw a person looking for help. She said, "You're not a failure, you haven't quit trying. But if you walk out that door, a failure is all you will ever be. If you want to prove them wrong, stay and fight." From darkness and despair to light and hope, that would be my journey from that day forward. With Miss Eads' guidance, I finally had hope that maybe I could succeed because I had a teacher who believed in me, who generally cared about me. I wasn't a paycheck, I wasn't a nuisance, I was a girl who was just looking for a little bit of help. This is a story I wrote my 4th grade year. My mother, I went through her keepsake box and she said everything in elementary school, I swear. So the assignment was your senior year to take something you had written when you were younger and rewrite it up to the speed you were this day. So looking through it, I looked at my mom and I said, "Where is this from?" And she looked at me and she said, "You wrote it. You even got an award. Stop playing stupid." Now to understand my mom, you have to know, she would spend hours at the dinner table with me, helping me with my homework, and becoming so frustrated with me because either I was not paying attention, I was not trying, or I was doing my favorite thing the most, screwing around. She would look at me and tell me I was trying her patience, and I would get frustrated with her and roll my eyes because I was really trying. How many of you have crammed for an all-night test and you're ready for this test? That test gets in front of you and your mind blanked. And then someone tells you you didn't try hard enough, you didn't study hard enough, and you're so frustrated because, gosh darn it, you did, and nobody's listening to you. When I looked at this and I said, "Mom, I don't remember writing this, and I can't even read it. This looks like squiggly lines. I'm 17 years old and I can't read something I wrote at 9 years old. I have no memory of writing this book. To this day, I still can't read this story." This is when the light bulb went off in my mom's head that something is probably very wrong. It felt like there was finally some validation for me because somebody was recognizing that I was telling the truth and that something was really wrong. With the help of Miss Eads, tests were scheduled, parent meetings were held, and I was finally given answers. What were these answers? Severe learning disabilities. I had phonological disorder, auditory processing disorder, a mild visual processing disorder, short and long-term memory, i.e. why I have to hold a speech up today. What did all that mean? It meant my brain does not process what it hears. My eyes do not process what they see. Memories made before my senior year seem far and few between and fade away. With this information, Miss Eads was actually able to help me to figure out how I could learn, help me find the teachers who would help me learn best. Was it hard? Hell yes. Did I struggle? Every day, and it was consistent. Did I have teachers against me instead of for me? You better believe it. I remember sitting in my first English class in college, and I stared at that board for 2 hours, and I couldn't read a word she wrote because she wrote in cursive. So I went up to her after class, and she looked at me and she said, "Why are you here if you can't even read? Go ask somebody else." I walked out of that class because I was not going to ask a student and feel even more stupider. This went on for 2 weeks. Finally, I went and saw a counselor, and she gave me my IEP, which was notes that told the teacher this is how I was going to learn best. I took the notes to the teacher. She had me stand up in front of class, and she announced that somebody in her class could not read her handwriting. So now she needed to take her time, redo lesson plans, change grades. So office hours were non-existent anymore. Grading curve was gone, and if you had a problem, you needed to figure it out yourself. This is one of those times when I wanted to throw in the towel and just give up. The college teacher had no faith in me, so what the hell was I doing here? I would take a deep breath and remember Miss Eads' words. "You are not a failure," because I'm still trying. I had to learn to take things one step at a time, one day at a time, because if I looked at that big picture, I was never going to make it to the top of that mountain. Sometimes I had to remind myself of Miss Eads' words daily, just to make it through the hard times. My associate's degree would not take the average 2 years. It would take over 4 years to get. I did struggle. I did fail classes. I did fall, but I got back up every time, and I kept trying. And in 2008, I would graduate Diaz College with a 4.0 magna cum laude. By then, I was married with 1 son, and this is where I planned my schooling to end. Because if an associate's took over 4 years, how long was a bachelor's going to take? That was until I was running with my Red Power Divas group, and the Honorable Judge Chapman had asked me how school was going. Judge Chapman is known in the justice system as a retired coach for the women's basketball team at San Jose State, numerous nonprofits. So she is very well known. She started the Red Power Divas group. She thought anybody could run a marathon just 1 step at a time, 1 mile at a time. So she challenged me and said, "Why not? How long, what does it matter how long it takes? You'll still have a bachelor's degree." And then she shared with me that she hadn't even entered law school until she was over 37 years old. She knew my background and struggle, and she pushed me forward. I took that ignition step and endured the hardest 2.5 years of my life to get that bachelor's degree. I would be in and out of the hospital with debilitating migraines. During this time, my 2 sons were diagnosed with autism, and we were barely making it financially. Close to the end of my degree, there were 3 months left in my semester. I was ready to throw in the towel. I was overwhelmed, stressed out, and I felt hopeless. I sat at my kitchen table with my mom trying to edit a 10-page paper at 9 p.m. at night, with a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old crying in the background. Dealing with my health illness, my tears rolled down my face. My mother hugged me and said, "You're not a failure. You got this." For the next 3 months, I repeated these words daily, at times hourly, just to get me through the day. Keep in mind, I am married with 2 little boys. I'm a family advocate with CPS. I'm working 50 hours a week. Despite all of these variables working against me, I still did it. I graduated with a 3.5 in the Honor Society. I had the biggest smile on my face when I graduated, and I walked across this stage. I stared at the Jumbotron and shook my butt, screaming, "I did it," with my mom smiling as the teacher shooed me off the stage. Shortly after graduation, I was selected 14 out of 200 students to be the intern for Judge Chapman. I was visiting the judge in her courtroom one day, and she had me sit in the witness box while she held court. During court, she announced to the entire courtroom that I would be her newest intern. I was shaken to the core, speechless, because these were spots only given for students heading on to law school. She told them how I never quit and how she was the lucky one to get to work with me and to know me. I mean, here's a room full of people, lawyers, inmates waiting to be sentenced, and they're applauding me. Inmates are cheering me on. It was a surreal moment. There I was, fresh out of community college, a mother of two, a wife, and I was up against the best and the brightest. These candidates were about to attend law school, and I had no plans to go further, but I held my own. Sitting in the judges' chambers, listening to the cases before trial, prosecutors and judges asked me for my assistance on the cases. The girl who was told she would only ever flip burgers. I was assisting with a well-known murder trial, helping the district attorney with inmates' testimony, and helping the judge during sentencing. If not for the fact that I needed a full-time job, I would have loved staying working with her. That opportunity helped me realize something very important, that I had value to offer. I went on to work in a high school where I would become the Miss Eads for others, whether it's helping students figure out how they learn best, passing a class, helping them achieve their goals, or just knowing someone there cares. I recently came into contact with a past dean at a church function. He was one of my teachers who previously made very negative comments about me daily when I was at his high school. Not recognizing who I was, he overheard my accomplishments and enthusiastically blurted out, "We need more people like you at our school." Ironic, right? Hearing this, I could not stop smiling. A weight I didn't know I was carrying was lifted off my chest. I had validation and recognition that was long overdue. It felt great showing this man how wrong he was about me. And I was able to prove that I was not a failure like so many before him believed. Now this is the moment in the cartoon where you got the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other. Now the devil on my shoulder, I can remind him what he said to me 16 years ago. I could be the angel on my shoulder and smile and walk away. I took the middle road. I said, "You might not remember me, but my maiden name is Sipe." He has all his colleagues around him, mom and kids and students, and his eyes become big as saucers, and his mouth is a fish out of water. And I have the biggest smile on my face, and I walked away with my head held high. When I see students struggling and getting down on themselves, I want them to know they have somebody in their corner. I teach my students to be their own cheerleaders and to celebrate every single accomplishment they've achieved, even if it means a high five and a booty shake or a woohoo. I still struggle learning new information and remembering information. So I adapt. If I'm helping students and I don't know the information, I sit with an instructor and have them teach me. I'm a visual learner, so I create notebooks for every single math subject. I draw pictures in binders for any tips and tricks that will jog my memory, anything I need to help a student succeed. I still cheer myself on when I have an accomplishment or something big I learned, a new math formula with a little booty shake or a woohoo. I show my students that it is okay to not be the best and the brightest, that all you have to do is take one step at a time. I truly did go from darkness to light. It only took one teacher to change that mindset and help me take my one step forward. I continue to pass that mantra on to my students today. You're not a failure because you haven't quit trying. My goal was to come up and do this TEDx speech without my speech in my hand. Did I fail? No, because I still got up here and gave the speech. So just like I tell my students, I'm not a failure because I still tried. Thank you.